Do you want to get more done? If so, it is really important to stop doing the things that are not the highest and best use of your time. And virtual assistants can be a great help in doing this. That is why today we're going to dig into what you need to know about working with virtual assistants. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am super excited to have with me today Brady Morgan from Virtual Assistant Staffing Agency. Brady, welcome and thanks for taking the time.
Hey, Tim, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We had a great conversation a little while back on your podcast, and I enjoyed it so much I wanted to continue it and get more into what you're doing and how you're helping people. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So before we dig into working with virtual assistants, just tell us a little bit more about, what you're currently doing with Virtual Assistant Staffing Agency and how you're helping businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So Virtual Assistant Staffing Agency, we do exactly what it says. We staff virtual assistants for business owners who want to scale. We have 7 core areas that we staff in: administrative assistance, bookkeeping, cold calling, content creation, data entry, lead generation, and social media management. So basically the core things that you are doing on a repeatable basis, but they're simple enough to where you can outsource them pretty easily, right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing with Virtual Assistant Staffing Agency is we're trying to make the hiring process seamless, and we are trying to source the best virtual assistants we can for our clients. And that's done through a proprietary grading system that we have within. And we'll get more into that, but essentially it's just grading their interviews and grading their English proficiency so that we know for a fact we're placing the best person we can.
When you guys are placing part-time and full-time, or is it all full-time placement?
It's both. It's 20 hours and 40 hours. And the reason we did that is 40 hours is obviously full-time. But 20 hours is a good part-time measure for someone who maybe they don't have 40 hours worth of work. And I think the worst thing you can have as an employer is an employee that doesn't have enough to do, because you kind of feel awkward about it. So 20 hours is perfect. People are like, what about 10 hours? Well, 10 hours isn't really enough to see results, in my opinion. 20 hours is what it really takes to see the results and still get enough done to where you can go on with what you want to do. So we offer both those models because at the end of the day, we want to be able to break down people's barriers. If we only placed full-time, the people who wanted part-time assistants wouldn't go through us.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to offer those different options so that people will continue to come to us because we have them.
Got it. Cool. Well, I love it. I'm super excited to dig into this because I have had virtual people on our team for, over 5 years now. I love having them as part of our team. They do a fantastic job. And really, it's no different than anybody else except they're remote. So I love it. So how did you get into sourcing virtual assistants? How did you get started doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the beginning of COVID, me and my business partner started a company that was about finance, automating your finances, digital CFO type stuff. And I didn't have any experience with virtual assistants, but he did. And we simply just took his virtual assistant, placed her within our company, and shortly thereafter we hired another one. And the first one we got, she was good, but not to the standard that we wanted. And we saw the gap, right? We saw, the second person we hired is still with us today. She's our hiring manager. She works on my podcast for me. She does a lot of different things for us. So she became our standard. And I said, there is a lot more of her out there. So how can we ensure that we find more of her out there and more people get people like her for their businesses?
Yeah.
So we saw the opportunity, right? And not only that, but we're super transparent about price points, and people are charging a large amount of money to place virtual assistants. And it's a very simple process. And that's coming from me, who is a business owner of a virtual assistant staffing agency. It's a simple process, but we merely just take out the headaches and save you time. And at the end of the day, we said, there's an opportunity here to actually help business owners and not just take large sums of money out of their pocket. So let's go after it and let's get really, really good at it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So you needed to solve a problem that you had, and that's how a lot of people end up getting started. So what are some of the ways that virtual assistants can help business owners. You talked about, it was the seven or eight disciplines that you guys, seven disciplines that you guys hire for, which, so let's just dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll reiterate those 7: administrative assistants, bookkeeping, cold calling, content creation, data entry, lead generation, and social media management. The reason I memorized those is because they're in alphabetical order. So I
I love it.
I memorize them better. But at the end of the day, you really have to understand, what am I doing on a consistent basis? That just takes a lot of time. And a lot of people don't know. A lot of people have not audited their time, and that's fine.
Yes.
Right. But it's understanding, okay, spend 3 days or even a week and say, what am I spending my days on? And be as specific as possible. And you'll find that you're spending a lot of time on tasks that can easily be outsourced. They're simple stuff, but it just takes you time to do it. And what people also don't understand is, think about, because like we're doing this podcast right now, but you own a marketing company outside of this.
Yep.
Let's assume you're working on a marketing project, and then you're like, oh crap, I have to edit a interview for tomorrow yourself, right? So not only are you spending the time editing the interview, it's the time it takes to actually get in the zone of editing that interview. And then when you finish editing the interview, getting back in the zone of the marketing project. So it's not just an hour or 2 hours. It might be 3 or 4 hours, depending upon how big the interview actually is.
Yeah.
So it's really important for you to understand that your time is very important. And when you can outsource those tasks that can easily be documented for around $4 an hour, why would you not?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's really important to understand what your effective hourly rate is as a business owner. Mm-hmm. And if you are spending your time on things that are below your effective hourly rate, it's not the highest and best use of your time. And you need to figure out how you can get somebody else to do that.
Exactly. You know, it's a good example. I was talking to someone the other day, and he wanted to outsource someone for 20 hours a week at about $4 an hour. So that's $80 a week. Now I told him, I said, do you think you can make $85 in those 20 hours? Right. But at that point, you have a positive ROI. So at that point, it makes sense. But people are like, well, I'm outsourcing the work, but they view it as a cost. It's an investment. There's an ROI on this investment in time, because what can that time do for you as a result?
Yes.
People have a hard time viewing it that way, which is fine. That's why we're here to help them understand that. I don't know what you need to be outsourced. Everybody's business is different. And maybe you prefer to handle the social media and the content creation, but you hate lead generation. That's fine.
Yeah.
What's your most pressing need? Let's outsource it, and let's see what you can do as a result with that extra time.
Yeah. I love it. So working with virtual assistants, they can make more money,
mm-hmm.
right? They can be more efficient with their time. Business owners can spend time on the things that they actually enjoy doing, right?
You could even be outside of the business. You know, it's like, hey, I'm working 80 hours a week. Let me just put 40 of those away and spend time with my family, or go work out, or go on walks, or whatever. Because, like, I understand the grind. Don't get me wrong. I understand the grind, but everyone has a ceiling when they burn out. Everyone does. And if someone says they don't, you're going to hit it soon. Right?
Yes.
You're going to hit it soon. You have to take care of yourself. And when you outsource work for really, really cheap, and you have that team around you, it makes your life easier. And you're probably going to make more money as a result, because you're just more productive, right? If I go into a sales call, that's my 20th of the week. But not only that, but I'm handling everything else inside my business. That sales call is probably going to be pretty bad, because I'm tired, I'm drained, I don't want to be there. But hey, all I've done this week is work on sales calls and follow-up. And I've worked 20 to 30 hours this week. I'm going to kill that sales call, because I'm fresh.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'm determined to close this deal. And I know I have a really good team behind me handling all the stuff that I don't want to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's important as business owners, for us to get to that place where we just realize we can't do everything. And frankly, we're not the best person to do a lot of those things anyways.
Right. Exactly.
So
there's three things, right? When you're delegating work, it's things you don't like doing, things you shouldn't be doing, and things you don't know how to do, right? The first thing you want to delegate is things you don't like doing. And I can almost guarantee everyone has something in the business they don't like doing. Now, things you shouldn't be doing and things you don't know how to do might come later down the road, right? Like if I'm trying to develop a web app or a phone app, I don't know how to do that. So Is it worth my time to try to learn and then build that when I could outsource that for really, really cheap? And then I have my time back to focus on the things that I need to focus on, you know?
Yeah.
So I think people try to play Superman within their business, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It's great to want to do that, but you can only be Superman for so long until you begin to burn out.
Yeah. So I want to pull a couple things out that are really important, and then we can jump into this next question, which is, I think, a really good one.
Yeah.
So first, if we're thinking about hiring a virtual assistant, one of the things you said, which is key, is we need to document our time for 2, 3 a week, just to get as much as you need to have a firm understanding of where your time is being spent.
Exactly.
So that you can audit that time and go, you know what? These 8 things I should not be doing, right? So once you've got that documentation, then you can look at what things am I doing that I don't like doing? What things am I doing that I shouldn't be doing? And what things am I trying to do that I don't really know how to do?
Exactly.
From there, that's going to give people a good indication of what they need to hire a virtual assistant or multiple virtual assistants for. So once I get to that place of, okay, I want to hire somebody, what are the biggest mistakes people are making with virtual assistants?
I think they view them in the wrong way, right? And whenever people ask us, where are these people from? It's say the Philippines. I'm like, oh, and I get it, right? I understand from first out working with someone that's technically foreign, that could be a potentially scary thing, but you have to let your guard down and just listen and be open. These people are from another country, but they speak very, very good English. And if they don't, you're not going to get placed with them from us.
Yeah.
They're not going to steal anything from you. Their securities and the internet's strong enough to be able to guard against that, right? And people view them as a program. They don't view them as a person, right? They view it as a virtual assistant program. No, this is your employee. Now, the biggest mistake people make is they view it like outside of the program, but hey, I'm just outsourcing work. It's a contractor, whatever. But when you don't have someone that's completely ingrained in your culture and your vision and your goals and all that good stuff, it's really hard to make a connection with that person, right?
Yep.
And additionally, you can hire someone that's really, really, really good at what they do, right? They could be really, really good at lead generation, really, really good at content creation, but they could be a piece of shit person, just character-wise. And that makes it really hard to get along, and that makes that relationship really inefficient. So the biggest mistake people are making is they just don't view them as an employee. And when you do that and you make that shift, I promise you it's a lot better. These are people. These are people too. They speak, they have families, they have kids, they have parents, they have pets, they have hobbies. They have stuff that probably in common with you. You just have to talk to them, be nice to them, understand where they're coming from. So ask them about their families. Like, it's such simple stuff, but just be a good person. And I think it'll be better for you.
Dude, I could not agree with what you just said more. I think so many people, I've run into business owners who are like, oh, I tried to hire a VA, it didn't work.
Right.
And so many times I've seen that it didn't work. One of the biggest things is exactly what you just said. They're freaking people.
Exactly.
Treat them like a human being. And most people that have issues working with VAs treat them like they're expendable.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I'll try this, and if it doesn't work out, I can just cancel it. Not a big deal. Well, in a sense, that's true for them, but dude, you're screwing with somebody's life. So, you treat them like they are a part of your team. Mm-hmm. Treat them like people, like you would want to be treated. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to do great work for you.
Absolutely.
But you just, and the other thing too that I think people struggle with is the communication aspect of it. You have to be really, really clear and over communicate, I think. So like I have two people that work in the Philippines, and then I have another one that is in Croatia, and they're a part of our team. They're, again, I mean, they're like any other people that I might hire stateside. They do a great job. They work hard, but like I'm using tools like Loom, screen capture. I use that every day for all kinds of things, but a huge benefit when working with people remotely in a team, because it just makes it so much easier to communicate.
Exactly.
But I mean, gosh, we've got Zoom, and there's so many tools out there to communicate with people remotely. We just need to take advantage of those.
Exactly. And that's another thing, is communication. I find people, and we teach this in the client training we provide, of a daily meeting. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes or an hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just check in. Hey, how's it going? What's on your plate for today? Do you have any questions? And go on. And I think that's really important, not only because of just communicating with your team, but we also have to understand, right? Let's be transparent that English is not their first language. The Filipino language is Tagalog. So at home, when they're with their families, do you think they're speaking English? No, they're speaking. That's like, there's people in America who are from Mexico or from Spain or from Europe, and they're going to go home and speak their native language. It's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's their culture. So when you have that daily meeting and you're speaking English to them, like, you are in a way helping them develop personally and professionally, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for people to understand the other side. And the other mistake, and this is probably the biggest one, people don't know how to delegate. People think that this task might be too complicated, I can't delegate it, or they document a process that is not detailed at all, and then they give that to their virtual assistant, and their virtual assistant can't carry it out because it's unclear, and then they think it's the VA's fault. Now, it could be the VA's fault. Don't get me wrong. Just like with domestic employees, there are bad Filipino employees. They're everywhere. It doesn't matter where you're located. But from my perspective, you give me an SOP that's super vague, and you want me to not ask any questions and just carry out the process, I'm probably going to mess up, because I don't know. It needs to be so, and dumbed down is the wrong word, but I never know what else to say. It needs to be so dumbed down to where you could give us to a 5-year-old and they know exactly what it is. Like, left side of the screen, click here, click the green button. This button says this, click that. Because when you're that detailed, they're not even going to need your SOP after a week, because they know exactly what to do. So you have some homework we give people, say, okay, you need a virtual assistant in this area. What I want you to do is I want you to go document every single process that goes along with this area, right? It doesn't matter if you're delegating or not.
Yeah.
Every single process. And then when we place your VA, I'm going to look at your homework and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to make sure that you have the SOPs in place needed to make that relationship really efficient and really effective.
Got it. I love it. So 3 big mistakes. You got to treat people like people,
right?
And that they are actually part of your team. They're not this distinct, separate entity over here. 2, you got to have really strong communication. And 3, you got to get good at delegating. You got to put the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, the systems down. You got to document those so that they're easy for people to follow. One thing I wanted to ask you, which I thought was really interesting, because you were talking about having daily meetings, are most of the people that you are placing working US-based hours, or they are?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we talk, a question we ask in the application, are you willing to work US-based hours? If they say no, I'm not even going to consider you. It's part of it, right? You have to be willing to, if you want a job bad enough, you'll stretch to make it work, right?
Yeah.
So we have a virtual assistant that works 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. her time in the Filipino time. That's 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. my time, and that's fine. I don't need her. But when she first started, she worked US-based hours 8 to 5. So at the end of the day, we're not going to place someone that isn't willing to be flexible. Now, I'm not saying they have to be flexible, but they have to be willing.
It's interesting and I think it really depends too on what you're hiring for. There's certainly some benefits to having people work US hours. There's also benefits to having them work their hours, because like our two people in the Philippines work their hours. So they are actually working through our night.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times, where most of the time I don't need to talk to them. I have a bi-monthly meeting with them. And other than that, I assign stuff. They have ongoing tasks that they get done. And it allows for me as a marketing agency, it allows us to get requests from clients during the day and have those done the following day, which most people cannot do.
Right.
So, there's a lot of flexibility there, which is really pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's specific to everybody's situation. It
Yeah.
really depends on what you want. And if you need someone to work US based hours, like if someone's doing cold calling and lead generation,
You got them,
they
right?
might be working US based hours, right?
Yeah.
But if they're doing content creation or maybe like SEO work or web design or bookkeeping, like that can be done overnight. It doesn't have to be done immediately during the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a ton of flexibility there depending on what you need. So why is it so important? Why do you need to have a team to scale business? Let's dig into this.
So when you're scaling a business, right, you ultimately need more time, right? If you're handling sales calls, you're handling all this other stuff, you're handling fulfillment, and it's going well, how do you make more money? You do more, right?
Yep.
Well, you're going to cap on time eventually because there's literally only 24 hours in a day. What we tell people is, let's assume you work 40 hours a week just to make it easy. What happens when you hire another full-time employee? You don't have 40 hours a week for your team. You have 80 hours.
Yeah.
You hire another person, you got 120 hours. Hire someone else, 160 hours. See how you are just multiplying your time every single time you hire someone on your team. That is a recipe for scaling. You have to have more time during the day to scale. You have to have more time during the day to make more money. You have to have more time during the day to be strategic, more time during the day to handle client requests. And when that happens, you're good to go. But for people who are just soul bent on being a solopreneur, that's fine. I understand being a solopreneur because you don't want to give up control. You're not giving up control, right? You control what happens. You just have someone carrying it out for you while you're doing something else.
Yeah.
So it's really wrapping your head around what am I willing to do to scale? And to be completely honest, I believe hiring a virtual assistant, and yes, I'm biased, is the cheapest way to scale. You can buy a business coach, you can buy a course. Those are typically pretty expensive, not gonna lie. But when you hire another team member, I mean, you have more time, and that's an asset that you can't get back.
Yeah. Well, and I can give you a case study. Okay. I hired a client support and project manager, actually like right as the pandemic was hitting. He's based out of Croatia. The stuff that we are getting done at this point, I've just reached a point where I can't imagine him not being part of our team. He's adding so much value to what we do, and he's helping me be able to spend my time on things that are a better use of my time. And frankly, he's doing things that he's better at than I am. It's invaluable, and if we, like you said, if you would just want to be a solopreneur, that's totally okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to get off the treadmill of being a business owner, you have to replace yourself. You have to pull yourself out of all these processes because, really at the end of the day, if you're doing all kinds of stuff, all you did was create a great job for yourself.
Exactly. And people, first of all, you have to understand what's your definition of success, and
which is different for all of us.
It's different, right? If you're like, no, I want to work 100 hours a week, sure, do it. It's your life. Do what you want to do. But if you're like, no, I want to travel more with my family, or I want to visit this area, or I want to, join an adult league soccer team. I don't know, but you need time to do those things.
Yes.
So you have to frame your mind around, okay, if I want that to happen, I have to make money still. So how does my business run while I'm not there? Yeah, automations, sure. But there's a lot of things automation can't do, and things that people have to do. And you can go so far to outsource an entire sales team to where all you're doing is making sure Things are going smoothly. That's it. But you're still making money automatically. Now, and a lot of people with like the 4-Hour Work Week from Tim Ferriss, he used virtual assistants. That book was written probably about 10 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah.
Virtual assistants. And people are like, oh, there's no way that would happen. 4 hours a week. There's no way. It's very, very possible. Yeah, you got to be strategic. And it's hard work to get to that point.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, right? And again, it comes back to, what is your definition of success like? What do you want your life to look like?
Yes. I love that. So before we cut out here, let's talk a little bit about, because I know with virtual assistant staffing agency, you guys are offering 2 different services. And when I think about hiring virtual assistants, I think there's 3 options, right? The first option is obviously, if I have the wherewithal and the time, I can hire a virtual assistant myself, bring that person on, do all that. But you guys handle the other 2 aspects of this. And I think it's important for people to understand so that if they want to do this, they know which is going to work best for them. So can you touch on those 2 different?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of them is maybe you have the time, but you don't know how. The other one is maybe I don't have the time, but I know how, right? Which when you don't have the time, but you know how, it's typically more of what we get. But the process is really simple. And we keep it this way because hiring and vetting can definitely be a headache. And the worst thing in the world is when you hire a virtual assistant and then you have to fire them because they suck. That's hard. And firing people, regardless of their skill level, that's hard to do, right? Mm-hmm. So the process is super simple. It's 3 steps. First step is identification. What do you need, right? You might say, I need all 7 things. Well, don't do that, because if you never hired or had an employee before, it's going to make it really hard for you to document every single process for all the different things inside your business. Start with 1. Let's get really good at 1. And we say, what is your most pressing need? What thing do you just absolutely despise doing, right? So now we know, okay, this is what you need. We have a VA order form. We fill it out. Automations kick in. This is where our work comes into play. It's step 2, which is vetting. So we go out, we post a job in several different places, or we have a community of virtual assistants ready to go. And we say, this is what they're looking for. This is the working hours. This is the pay. This is what's going to be delegated. These are the softwares you need to have experience in. And then people start applying. Now, once they apply, they're going to get, within that application, there's an English proficiency test. Now, that English proficiency test has 20 questions. The first 15 is just simple stuff we probably learned in middle school, like filling in the blank, but we got to know, right? Can you read English and formulate an actual sentence that makes sense? That's fine. The last 5 questions is me reading a little excerpt on a video, and they have to answer the question based off what I asked. Now, that does 2 things. It makes me know that you know how to, read the English.
Yep.
2, it helps me know that you know how to listen and hear it. 2 completely different things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
How do we get that score? Now, once they apply, they submit, they're going to get an email that asks them to submit a video interview. Now, the video interview has 8 questions specific per job. And that's on purpose, because I'm not going to ask a social media content creator how they did lead generation. That doesn't make sense. But the reason it's a video, 1, to help us out. Let's say we have 100 applicants. It's going to get really hard to interview 100 applicants. So we have the video, but that does 3 things for us, Tim. And it's very vital when you actually think about it. 1, I want to make sure you know how to actually follow directions. Can you actually record a video of yourself and submit it to me via Loom? That's the way they have to submit it.
Yeah.
2, can you talk around what you say you're actually skilled at? And when, in my opinion, when someone asks you questions, they can kind of lead you in a direction that kind of makes you just agree, and it makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. But when you have to talk about it yourself, you can sound like an idiot pretty quickly. And that's not just, that's idiot, right? So yeah, the reason we do that is because we tried to hire a social media manager in-house, and all she could tell me was she did social media management. She couldn't give me any examples. So I'm like, okay, so you don't really know how to do social media management. You're just saying you did it. Right? So now, okay, I want you to talk about it. Give me examples. The third thing is, remember, we know they know how to read. We know they know how to listen. Can they speak it well, English?
Yeah.
And that's what the video interview does for us. Once that's submitted, and then the 4th thing, actually, this is very important. It's a barrier to actually get them to submit an interview. It's work to do it yourself. So if they're not willing to submit a short 8 to 10 minute interview, I don't want you. I don't.
Yeah, they're not going to be a good fit.
Exactly. It's not hard work, but people just won't do it. So after those 4 things, or that we see, they submit the interview. Our hiring manager goes in and listens to the interviews and grades them. There's 7 different categories, and off the top of my head, I don't know what the 7 different categories are, but the interview is 70% of the overall score, and the English proficiency test is 30% of the overall score. Now, it makes it easy for us because now we can say, hey, client A, we are sourcing our best lead generation assistant, and we have a score to back that up.
Yeah.
It's not just a abstract saying, oh, this is the best one. No, we have a score that literally backs that up. So now we're placing them with you. You feel confident, but before you say yes and they're actually placed, we're going to send their stuff to you. We're going to send their resume, their evaluation form, their interview, their English proficiency test score, their overall grade, LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile, internet speed test, all this stuff to you. And when you say yes, we hop on a placement call. Now we're telling this person, hey, you were chosen, but they're still going to ask you questions. It's still an opportunity for this person to talk to you face to face. So me, hiring manager, client, and virtual assistant hops on a placement call. I'm going to talk about the terms. Hey, this is pay. This is the schedule. This is what you're going to be doing. And I'm going to give the client an opportunity to ask the VA questions and vice versa. And if everybody's happy after that, we're good to go. But let's think about that process. I just said a lot. How many different barriers does a virtual assistant have to go through to actually get to that placement call? A lot.
Yes.
They have to do an application that has a test. First thing, before even submitting an application, they have to take a test. Then they have to submit an interview. Then we have to take all their resources and send them and get approved. Then we hop on a placement call and they have to actually, perform well to actually, we're good to go. Everything's closed out. So something that could have taken someone maybe a week to do, we can do it really quickly. We have a pretty quick turnaround time, right?
Yeah.
So it's saying, hey, I can have your virtual assistant placed in 3 business days. It's Tuesday. I'll have your VA on their first meeting with you by Friday, so they can hit the ground running on Monday, the following Monday. So we're good to go. Right now, we do have a few guarantees in place to make sure that the client's protected. One is we guarantee we'll place in at least 10 business days. I just said 3 business days, but the reason we say 10 is people need weird things sometimes. And that's Somebody needed a cold caller once that also spoke Spanish. So I said, hey, you understand you're asking someone to speak Tagalog, the native language, English, and Spanish. That's trilingual. That's hard to find. Give us some time. We'll find it, though. And we did. The other guarantee is within 45 days, which is about a month and a half, if you're not happy, and I don't even care why you're not happy. Maybe you just don't like this person. It's not my place to ask you why. We're going to replace for 100% free. And that replacement is typically going to be immediate because guess what? Every single person that we have just a list of people and their grades. It's just simply saying, hey, this is the next highest graded lead generation specialist that you need. Here you go. We'll place you immediately. So that replacement's not going to take 10 more business days or 5 business days or a week or whatever. It's pretty immediate. Now, something else we provide to clients is just a simple 30-minute to an hour training, either before, it's like right before the placement. Reason being is because, like we talked about before, this is a different culture. And when I say culture, I mean different country, learning about their holidays, learning how they work, learning how to delegate, stuff like that, learning, giving bonuses, payroll, stuff like that. If you never had an employee, this is pretty vital stuff, but it's all really broken down in short sentences. There's no videos. It's short sentences on purpose because you shouldn't be spending a lot of time going through this training. It's not rocket science, but you need to know it.
Yeah.
Right. So from that point forward, you're placed with your VA. We're good to go. We're going to follow up over the course of a month and a half, and we're going to make sure all is good. And that's our process. There's a lot in the middle, but the thing in the middle is what we do, and it's what you don't have to do.
Yes. I love it, man. So, Brady, you've offered a ton of value here, man. I love it. I think anybody that is thinking about hiring a virtual assistant just got a bunch of information and they're ahead of the game. If people want to learn more about you, virtual assistant staffing agency, where do they go, man?
Yeah, so our website is www.vastaffing.agency. And you might have to put a / in Vasa, VASA-home. And I know you have this right here.
Yeah.
For some reason that works on certain browsers and then the other one works on other browsers. I don't know why. I don't know enough about it I need to probably delegate that information out, right? But, you can go there, and guys, I mean, we have a ton of information on there. You can book a demo call. There's tons of buttons to book a demo call, but read the entire website. Virtual assistants aren't for everyone, and there's a time and a place for them. But if you really want to scale and you have things you don't like doing, the VA is for you, and I'm happy to talk about it. Around $4 an hour. We're really transparent about pricing. We have a ton of FAQs that talk about how much we charge and the option to actually spread a payment across a year. And I can talk about that right now. We have a placement fee up front of $1,500. A lot of people don't want to part with that capital up front, and that's fine. It's not up to me to tell you what to do with your money. And as a finance guy myself, I know that money is worth more today than it will be tomorrow, and that's fine. So you're saying, yeah, I just can't do the $1,500. That's fine. We're just going to bump it up $500 to $2,000. We're going to spread that across a year. So you're paying weekly $38 a week. So if you're paying $4 an hour for a full-time VA, that's $160 a week. Let's just round it up to $200 with our fee. And at that point, we actually take care of payroll for you. So you pay us the $200, we pay the VA $160. We just keep it off the top, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Less headache, and it helps people keep money in their pockets.
Cool. So you got a couple different options. So, Brady, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. And thank you to those people that are tuning in, watching, listening. I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. If you want to gain clarity on where to focus your marketing efforts right now to get the best return, hop on over to our website at rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. Click on the Get a Free Consult button. Guarantee you'll get a ton of value from it and walk away knowing exactly what you need to focus on right now. Remember, marketing shouldn't be difficult. All you need is the right plan. Till next time, take care.